Hello, my beloved habit builders. This is Marko Stojanovic speaking to you, the creator of Grow and psychologist specialized in habit building. So, I want to walk you through real quick the habit definition process you have to go through when you use Grow. So especially if you just downloaded Grow and use it for the first time, it's very important to get this right. So in this example, we are going to define a study habit. Grow works very well with study habits, but you can build any habit if you got the gist of it and get how this psychometric habit building works. So let's say I'm a student and I have this huge amount of stuff I have to learn, and I feel overwhelmed by it. So I want to build a habit around summarizing the lectures and repeating them like each day. So when you start the habit building process, you should have a rough representation of what you want to do, of the kind of habit you want to build already in your head, and the specifics are going to be defined then in this process. So let's give it a name. So I want to summarize lectures, so I would call it repeat. I want to repeat and summarize lectures, so I'm just going to call it summarize lectures. Summarize lectures. So, and yeah, let's not forget the help button here. So on each step you have a help button, and especially if you do your first few habit definitions, it really helps to go through the tips here. So highly recommend it. It's very important. So we got our name. Let's hit continue. Long-term goal. So this is when you build a habit, you don't just build it, you have a goal in mind, you have something in mind you cannot reach within one afternoon. So that's what you're working towards. How I would go about it for this particular study habit is, I would say by the end of this semester, I want to have summarized and repeated each lecture. What's important about the definition of the long-term goal is that you will be asked how much % of your long-term goal do you have already attained after every seventh repetition. So it should be defined in a way you can assign a percentage value to it. So what I'm going to put here is let's see, have all lectures summarized. No, let's just, when you summarize it, you repeat it automatically. So if all lectures, all lectures, what are all lectures? All lectures for this semester summarized. So my long-term goal would be then just in the scope of this semester, so I can see good progress within the next few weeks if I really stick with it. If I would put in long-term goal would be, okay, summarize all lectures in my studies. The progress is going to be rather slow, and this way you can hit 100% long-term goal for this semester, and then you can evaluate and maybe twist and tweak your habit and see how you want to continue, or if it worked well, you can just continue using it and yeah, start from zero again. Okay, so let's hit continue. Duration. So here we have to put a rough duration on how long we're going to plan to need for one habit repetition. It's crucial to not to start with a too high duration here, because the probability of actually sticking with your habit is going to drastically decrease if you put a too high a time here. So for this study habit, I would pick something between 10 and 20 minutes. Let's say around 15 minutes, but the duration is just going to be to have an easier representation of your habit in your head. So if you say, okay, this is going to be a 5-minute habit, or this is going to be a 1-hour habit, you have a different mental representation. But how long it actually is going to take will be dependent on the habit repetition goal we are going to define later on. So we are just outcome oriented and do not focus too much on the time. This is just an approximation of how long we think it's going to take, because over time you will see, as your habit becomes more automatic and you become better at it, you will need less and less time. So let's put in 15 minutes, and if we later on see we need more or less time, we can still adapt the duration. So context, very important thing. The context is like 50% of the habit. So what is a habit basically? Psychologically, it's two parts. It's an automized sequence of behavior. So what you do during your study habit, that would be reading through the lecture notes and through the presentation, and summarizing it, and maybe putting down notes and stuff like that. That's the actual behavior. The other part is the trigger that starts this behavior, and that's the context. And your habit might be super automized and super. You might be super proficient at your habit, but if it's never triggered, you're not going to show the behavior. It's best practice to pick another behavior you show daily, and pack your habit on this behavior. So this other behavior, it already is established in the flow of your day, and it's going to be the trigger of your habit. So, for example, I like to watch the news in the evening at 8 p.m. and I'm going to do it after the news. So after the news are finished, most of the cases I'm going to be home, and I will have some time at my hands. So this will be a good spot for my study habit. I will be at my home, and it will be right after the news, and I will, I guess, sit on my desk where I do where I usually do my homework and study work and stuff like that. So let's put it that way. After 8 p.m. news, at my desk. So that will be a context. It's 100% clear when it's time to do my habit now. Okay, let's continue. So habit action. Now here we're going to define what specifically we are going to do during the habit. So that will be summarizing the lecture. How I do it is I always print out the lecture slides, and on the back of the first, I put them in a folder, and on the back of the first page, I summarize with notes. I summarize the lecture. I go through the lecture notes, and I summarize them on the back of the first page. And the habit action would be then summarize lecture with notes on the back of first page. So I know what I mean by this, and you should define it in a way that you know what you mean by this. I might, if I would write it for another person, I would be more specific on how this technique works, but I know how this works. I already worked with it like for years, and you just need to know what you specifically are going to do. So that's the habit action, and the habit action goal is basically the trigger for ending your one habit repetition. When are you done? So, and I will be done after one lecture. So after having successfully understood and summarized one lecture. One entire lecture. Okay. Now it's getting interesting. The emergency habit action is a mini-me version of your normal habit. So we define this in order to still be able to have a fallback plan, to still be able to do something for our habit, even though we would usually skip it because we don't have time, and we suddenly get other obligations, or something disrupts our normal flow of the day. So we might not be at home, we might be sick a little, or whatever it might be. So we define a really short version of this habit action. For this study habit, what I would do is, every time I summarized my lecture, I would take a photo of the summary of the last lecture, and so I would have it in my phone, and as an emergency habit action, I would go through the summary of the last, well, of my last regular habit action. So that would take me around a minute or two, but I still kind of stick with my habit. I did the emergency habit, but I still did something for building this habit, and it allows me to stay consistent. So that would be repeat notes, rehearse. Let's say rehearse. Notes from last habit, repetition. Okay. All right. So, and the emergency habit goal would be, just repeat, go through them. Let's go through them twice. Okay, so you know what you have to do if times get hard and you don't have a lot of time. Maybe you're sick or you have other obligations. You're just gonna get out your smartphone, check the pic from yesterday, and go through your notes twice, and then you're done with it. It should take like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then you're done. So frequency, now you have to define if you want to choose weekdays on which you want to do them, or if you want to do if you on which you want to do your habit, or if you want to do it daily. I want to do it daily, and I want to set a reminder at 2015. That's when the news end, and yeah, that's going to be the time. When in your habit, you might not have such a specific time at hand, because you might define a habit like when I come home from work or from university, and that time might vary. Just pick a time for the reminder that's around that time. It's just a little nudge that's going to remind you. Especially in the beginning, you're going to need that, and over time, the trigger, so the context, in my case, the news, are going to obtain the power of activating your habit on its own. But in the beginning, it's very good to have this, to have a reminder actually in your phone that reminds you to do your habit. So yeah, Grow just created a reminder. Now we can go through the habit again and see if we want to edit something. And now let's pick a fancy icon here. That looks, yep, that looks appropriate for my study habit. Okay, let's go through it. Have all lectures summarized, duration 15 minutes, okay, context 8 p.m. News at my desk, habit action, summarize one lecture, okay. Let's say if you want to edit something, you could do so here. But I'm fine here. I hit create habit, and now we see it here. So now what you're going to do is, in the beginning, your dashboard is just going to be empty because you do not have any data. The app needs data to give you feedback on your habit strength, of course. And so you do your habit, and after that you hit enter data, and you say, if you did your regular habit, which should be 95% of the time, you hit regular habit. If you did your emergency habit, you hit emergency habit, regular habit. And then you just answer questions about the experience. Like, shortly after starting my habit, I occasionally switch to other activities. In the beginning, that might be the case. So this habit is something I do without having to consciously remember. No, in the beginning, no. I do automatically, not in the beginning. I do without thinking, no. I need to think, I was easily distracted. Yeah, I was rather easily distracted in the beginning, and so on. And then, over time, you answer your questions after every habit repetition. And you see your habit dashboard is going to look like this. For my autogenic habit, I have autogenic training habit. I have 110 repetitions in. I can see when I did it if I hit this repetitions tab here. And you can swipe. You see here, here's your automaticity. That's like the core of habit strength. How automatic is the behavior. The more automatic it is, the more proficient you are at it, and the easier it is to start and to maintain. And you can hit here this info button for info, and here motivational resilience tells you how strong the motivational shield around this activity is. It has, in this case, in autogenic training, it has been rather high right from the beginning. Normally, motivational resilience gets stronger alongside with automaticity. And this is my long-term goal achievement. So over time, I got closer to my long-term goal here. And here are other stats. You can go through them at your own pace and get explanations on them if you tap on them. So, and here you have some achievements you can unlock. Fun little feature. And here we have the optimization feature. That's a premium feature. If you have weak spots in your habit. This is a very strong habit, so I don't have any weak spots. But if you, especially in the beginning, you might have some weak spots, and you get you can hit the button and get feedback on where and how, where your weak spots are and how you can improve on them. So, but so you see different habits here of mine, and there's 3 stages a habit can be in. So the one is crossing the desert. That's where we're in with our new summarized lectures habit. Those are the first 14 hard repetition. That's, you have to really bite through this because the behavior is not going to be very automized, and you're going to experience a lot of resistance, especially in the beginning. And after you cross the desert, you're going to be in the automizing phase. So you accomplished crossing the desert, the hard part, but there's still some space for making the behavior and the habit overall and the triggering even more automatic and psychologically stronger. And the app just screens how strong your and analyzes how strong your stats are. And once they're strong enough, it's going to give you a green check mark, which says habit build. You can consider this habit a habit, basically. And if you have 100 repetitions, then you can get this insane gold habit check mark. And now another thing I want to show you is if you tap on the icon, you can again see your habit. You can change icons. I don't want to change this though. Edit, context, long-term goal, and everything you could imagine. And you can deactivate or delete your habit. Deactivated habits are going to be put into your habit library. Those are your habits you currently don't do, but it's still a mental asset, so you can activate and deactivate it. So let's say the semester is over and there are no lectures to be summarized. You could put it deactivate it and put it into your habit library. So you just would have active habits here then. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you about Grow. And yeah, so have a good time building your habits. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments or feel free to shoot me a mail, marco@growhabitbuilder.com. And yeah, happy habit building, folks.